There are moments in life when the ordinary rhythm of time is interrupted, when something unexpected enters your path, and you feel, though you cannot explain it, that this is not by chance. You may believe you simply clicked on a video, opened a page, or stumbled across a message by coincidence. Yet the truth is far deeper than appearances. Nothing arrives without purpose. Nothing stands before your eyes unless it was meant to reach you. And today, these words are not ordinary words. They are not simply sentences strung together. They are a key, a quiet knock upon the door of your spirit, urging you to pause for just a moment longer than you normally would, because what is about to unfold is a revelation, a calling, and a reminder that your life is on the threshold of something profound. Perhaps you have noticed, even before you came here, that there has been a restlessness within you, a stirring that cannot be silenced. At times, it may have shown itself as sleepless nights, sudden surges of emotion you could not explain, or dreams that left you unsettled, yet strangely awakened. You might have brushed them aside, convincing yourself it was nothing, that life was simply overwhelming, that fatigue or chance created such feelings. But in truth, these were signals. Gentle nudges from the unseen, signs that heaven has been near, preparing you for the moment you now face. You have not arrived here on your own. You have been guided. When God chooses to prepare a soul for transformation, the process rarely begins with clarity. It begins with mystery. The energy around you shifts first. People may depart without explanation. Opportunities you long believed were meant for you may suddenly close. Circumstances may feel as though they are crumbling, leaving you with questions, confusion, even pain. But within that unraveling is the hidden blueprint of renewal. Just as the calm before a storm carries within it the promise of cleansing rains, so does the strange unease in your life point to the extraordinary change ahead. And if you have felt this unease recently, an inner trembling without reason, know this: it is the mark of divine preparation. God speaks in ways that are rarely direct, a whisper in the lyrics of a song, a phrase in a book you had long forgotten, the casual words of a stranger, or even a message like this, delivered at precisely the right hour when your heart is most open. You may not recognize it immediately, but your soul does. Your soul leans forward when truth calls. And right now, whether you realize it fully or not, your soul is listening. It knows these words are not meant for everyone. They are meant for you. It is not everyone who has the sensitivity to catch such signals. Many walk through life blind to the signs, deaf to the whispers, their days consumed by noise and distraction. But you are different. You are attentive, even if you sometimes doubt yourself. You sense what others overlook. And it is precisely this quality, this openness, that has marked you as chosen. That is why you are here. That is why these words have found you. Change, when it arrives, often unsettles before it blesses. The ground shakes before it becomes fertile again. The cocoon must split before the butterfly can emerge. Likewise, the path ahead of you will demand that you release certain attachments, accept the departure of certain people, and allow endings that may hurt at first. But these endings are not punishments. They are preparations. They are God's way of making space for new beginnings you cannot yet imagine. The closed doors, the broken ties, the unexpected losses, all of them are clearing the way for what has been written for you from the beginning. You may wonder, why now? Why, after so many trials, so many prayers unanswered, so many nights of silence, has this message come? The answer is both simple and profound, because the appointed time has arrived. For years, your faith has been tested. Again and again, life has presented you with challenges that seemed insurmountable. You endured heartbreak, setbacks, disappointments that nearly broke you, and though your heart cried, Though your strength faltered, you did not surrender. You rose again, you carried yourself forward, and that resilience, that refusal to abandon hope, has been seen. Heaven has witnessed it. God has counted every tear, recorded every prayer, noted every sacrifice. And now, after the long night, dawn is breaking. But listen carefully. When God gives, He gives not only gifts, but also responsibility. Your thoughts, your words, your intentions will now carry extraordinary weight. From this moment onward, what you speak will carry power, what you feel will shape reality, and what you envision will begin to manifest with startling clarity. This is not a gift to take lightly. It is a call to higher consciousness, to step into alignment with love, truth, and light. Every negative word, every careless thought, every doubtful feeling can ripple outward now with greater force than before. That is why you are being asked to be vigilant, to guard your heart, to purify your intentions. Say to yourself each day, "Let there be love in my thoughts. Let there be light in my words. Let there be goodness in my desires." Do this not only for yourself, but for all those whose lives will be touched by yours. For make no mistake, you are not walking this path alone. A divine team surrounds you. Invisible guardians walk beside you. They hear your silent thoughts. They shield you from harm. They move obstacles you do not even see. Their purpose is to guide you into the destiny that has always been yours, though the road until now has seemed dark and uncertain. In the days to come, you will notice shifts that at first may confuse you. Some people will leave your life suddenly, without explanation. Others, long gone, may reappear. New faces will emerge, carrying with them opportunities and lessons vital to your journey. Do not cling desperately to what departs, and do not fear what arrives. Trust that each change is purposeful. What is taken will be returned in a higher form. What was left incomplete will find completion. What seemed distant will be drawn irresistibly toward you. This is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration. At times, you may even feel the presence of something greater in your quiet moments, an unseen hand upon your shoulder, a sense of being watched over when you are alone. Do not dismiss these experiences as imagination. They are the unmistakable signs of divine intervention, for you are not only being guided, you are being shielded. The threads of past pain, the karmic burdens carried over lifetimes, are being cut. A shield is forming around you, one of light so radiant that no shadow, no negativity, no ill will can penetrate it. Already your interests are shifting. The pursuits that once consumed you are losing their appeal. The noise of trivial desires no longer captivates you as it once did. Instead, your attention is being drawn toward purpose, toward meaning, toward the true work of your soul. And yes, questions arise. Why me? Why was I chosen? The answer lies not in your doubts, but in your history. You were chosen because you have loved when it was hardest to love. You have given when you had little left to give. You have prayed for others even while your own needs remained unmet. And in those selfless acts, heaven recognized you as one who could carry light, not only for yourself, but for others. Understand this. You have become a vessel through which divine energy flows, and because of that, your thoughts now carry power beyond what you realize. This is why you are being called to vigilance. You can shape your life, and by extension, the lives of others, through the purity of your consciousness. Your words must be blessings. Your emotions must be aligned with love. Your visions must reflect goodness not only for yourself, but for all. In this lies your next step, the true unlocking of your destiny. This moment right now is not an accident. It is an invitation, an opening door, a cosmic alignment that whispers, "The time has come." You may feel unworthy. You may question whether this is truly for you, yet the very fact that your heart stirs as you hear these words is proof enough. God never sends a message to an unwilling soul. If you are here, If these words resonate within you, it is because you have been chosen. You are being spoken to directly, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine design. The life you have known is not the life you are destined to continue. The turning point is here, the long-awaited change you prayed for in silence, the hidden desires you dared not speak aloud for fear they would never come true. All of it is rising now to the surface, ready to take form. This is your moment of crossing from the old into the new, from endurance into fulfillment, from waiting into receiving. And though the road will still demand courage, the assurance is this: you are no longer walking in the dark. The light has arrived, and it is guiding you forward. There comes a stage on every soul's journey where the silence of the unseen becomes louder than the noise of the world, where the signs you once ignored can no longer be brushed aside as coincidences, and where the delicate restlessness you have been carrying becomes a signal that the divine order of your life is being rearranged. You have felt this weight in your heart, this inexplicable stirring in your thoughts, the sense that you are being guided towards something you cannot yet name, but cannot deny either. This stirring is the evidence of God's hand upon you, for when heaven chooses a soul for transformation, it never announces itself with thunder and spectacle at first. It begins quietly, subtly, in the fragile corners of your daily experiences, placing before you dreams that seem too vivid to forget, whispering through songs that find their way into your ears at just the right moment, arranging coincidences so precise that your spirit cannot help but notice. These are not accidents. They are instructions clothed as mysteries, and you have been attuned enough to feel their presence. Think back to the moments when you felt a sudden change in energy around you, when relationships that once seemed steady began to falter, when people you trusted seemed to drift away, when opportunities that appeared promising inexplicably closed before you. At the time, it may have looked like loss or failure, but in truth, it was preparation. Heaven does not remove without replacing. God does not allow something to collapse unless there is a new foundation being laid beneath it. And though you may not have seen the construction, you have been walking upon the shifting ground of that preparation. What you thought was rejection was in fact redirection. What you believed to be the breaking of your heart was the opening of your spirit. What you felt as endings were actually beginnings wearing disguises. Now, as the fog begins to lift, the picture grows clearer. Everything has been orchestrated so that you might arrive here, in this very moment, ready to hear what is being revealed to you now. It is natural to ask why the journey required so much difficulty, why blessings did not simply arrive in ease, why prayers were met with silence for so long. But you must understand that every soul chosen for something extraordinary is first shaped by fire. Gold is not refined by comfort, it is refined by flame. You have been through flames, through seasons where you thought you might break, through nights where your tears seemed endless, through situations that tested your faith to its very edges. And yet you stand, and yet you breathe, and yet you have not surrendered. That resilience is not ordinary. It is sacred evidence that you are being strengthened for the destiny that lies ahead. For how could you carry the weight of miracles if you had never endured the pressure of trials? How could you understand the depth of blessings unless you had walked through seasons of lack? How could you value the light unless you had known the heaviness of darkness? Now the energy surrounding you is shifting again. Only this time it is not toward loss, but toward fulfillment. Already you may sense the strange acceleration, the way events begin to move faster, the way clarity begins to pierce through confusion, the way your heart begins to long less for explanations and more for alignment. What was once delayed is being released. What was once blocked is being unlocked. What was once withheld is being placed in your hands in a form greater than what you had imagined. You may soon notice people entering your life unexpectedly. Individuals whose presence feels strangely familiar, though you have never met them before. They are part of the divine team sent to walk with you, to open doors you cannot open alone, to remind you that you have never been without guidance, even in your loneliest moments. Some will come to teach, some to heal, some to challenge you into greater strength, and some simply to love you as you have always deserved. Do not dismiss their arrival as random. Nothing from this point onward will be random. Every encounter will hold meaning. Every conversation will carry weight. Every small event will be woven into the larger tapestry of your unfolding destiny. Yet even as blessings approach, the responsibility of your thoughts becomes greater. You must learn to recognize that your words now carry the force of creation. Speak with anger, and you may invite disruption. Speak with love, and you will attract harmony. Think with fear, and you may call forth obstacles. Think with faith, and you will summon opportunities. The divine plan activated in your life at this hour is not something you can undo, but your alignment with it will determine how smoothly the path unfolds. This is why you are being asked to cultivate clarity within your soul, to guard your mind from negativity, to refuse to entertain doubts that weaken your spirit. You have stepped into a season where heaven has placed great authority in your hands, and with that authority comes the demand for vigilance. Perhaps you have already noticed the shift in your inner world. The things that once held your attention no longer satisfy you. The distractions that once consumed your time have grown hollow. Instead, your heart hungers for meaning. Your thoughts turn toward questions of purpose, and your spirit seeks silence, where it can hear more clearly the whispers of the divine. This is the evidence of your awakening. Not everyone reaches this point, for many cling too tightly to the illusions of the world. But you, despite your struggles, despite your doubts, have reached it. You are no longer who you once were, and the unfolding of your destiny depends not on who you have been, but on who you are becoming now. You may still wonder why you were chosen. You may feel unworthy or unprepared. But heaven's choice is not based on your perfection. It is based on your heart. You were chosen because you loved when others turned cold. You were chosen because you gave when you had little left to give. You were chosen because you have endured what would have broken others and still kept faith alive, even if only as a flicker in the darkest night. Heaven does not require flawless vessels. It requires willing ones. And you have proven your willingness, even in silence, even in pain, even when you doubted your own strength. That is why you are here now. That is why these words are reaching you. In the hours and days ahead, you will begin to notice more signs, subtle, almost invisible, but undeniable to your awakening spirit. A dream that repeats itself, a number that appears again and again, a memory long forgotten that surfaces without reason, a song that finds you at the exact moment you need to hear it. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Pay attention. The more you notice, the clearer the communication becomes. And as you respond to these signals with faith, you strengthen the connection until what was once hidden becomes plain, until what was once distant feels closer than your own breath. Do not be surprised if emotions overwhelm you in unexpected moments. Tears may come without warning. Your heart may race for no apparent reason. You may feel a presence in your room, though no one is there. These are signs that the veil is thinning, that heaven is no longer only whispering, but drawing near, that God's hand is actively moving within your life. Do not fear these moments. They are not meant to frighten you, but to assure you that you are not alone. Where once you walked under the weight of struggle, now you walk under the shield of divine protection. Old cycles are being broken. Old chains are being shattered. The burdens of the past are being lifted so that you may step forward unhindered into the chapter that awaits you. This is not an ordinary season. This is not an ordinary moment. This is the turning of the page, the opening of the door, the beginning of the chapter you have long prayed for but never quite believed would arrive. The fact that your soul stirs even now as you hear these words is the greatest confirmation you need. You are ready. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not measured by confidence. It is measured by openness. And your heart, though wounded, though tired, remains open. That is enough. That is why heaven has drawn near. That is why God has spoken. That is why your time has come. There are seasons in every life when the familiar patterns that once seemed secure begin to unravel, when relationships that once felt unshakable start to shift in subtle ways, when doors that you believed were meant to remain open begin to close without warning, and when conversations once included your name suddenly take place in silence behind closed walls. It is in such moments that the heart grows heavy with questions, wondering whether something is being lost, whether a betrayal is unfolding unseen, whether the foundation beneath you is weaker than you believed. Yet from the perspective of heaven, these moments are not designed to destroy you but to awaken you. For what you sense as instability is often the first trembling of a greater alignment. You are not mistaken in feeling the difference in the air around you, in sensing the heaviness that sits quietly upon your spirit, in noticing the distance of someone you once trusted or the fading warmth of a bond you once relied upon. These are not illusions, nor are they meaningless changes. They are the beginning of revelation. The truth is that not every person who enters your life is meant to walk with you forever. Not every companion is destined to remain by your side for the entire journey, and not every bond is aligned with the unfolding of your divine purpose. Some individuals are placed in your path for a season, to teach a lesson, to spark a transformation, to guide you towards strength, or even to serve as the contrast by which you recognize your true worth. But when that season is over, heaven gently begins to move them away, for to keep them near beyond their appointed time would hinder the greater unfolding of your destiny. It may feel painful, it may appear unfair, and it may stir within you a grief that you cannot easily name, but it is never without reason. What seems like loss is always a reshaping. What feels like abandonment is often protection. And what appears to be the end of a chapter is in reality the preparation for a chapter of far greater importance. You may have already begun to notice the subtle signs of such a shift. Someone you trusted has grown quieter, more distant, their words no longer carrying the same sincerity, their presence more shadow than light. Perhaps you have seen the flicker in their eyes, sensed the hesitation in their tone, felt the space that was not there before. Perhaps you have been tempted to dismiss it as your imagination, to silence the inner warning that something is changing. But what you must understand is that heaven often gives your soul the first glimpse of truth long before your mind can comprehend it. That unease you feel, that stirring of intuition, that heaviness upon your chest, it is not confusion, it is revelation. It is heaven whispering to you that all is not as it seems, that the plans being formed in secret are already known in the spiritual realm, and that you are being given the gift of awareness before the curtain fully lifts. Do not be disheartened by this unveiling, for though it may reveal disappointment in the hearts of others, it does not reveal defeat for you. In fact, it is a sign that you have been chosen to see clearly what others remain blind to. Those who plot in silence, who imagine they can hide their intentions, who believe they can diminish your light by removing you from where you stand, do not understand the sovereignty of divine order. They do not realize that no human scheme, no whispered plan, no secret conversation can overturn what God has written for your life. They may believe that by turning their hearts they can shift your future, that by withdrawing their support they can weaken your foundation, that by removing themselves they can halt your destiny. But what is meant for you is untouchable, for heaven itself has placed it in your hands, and no one can snatch away what the Almighty has decreed. You may feel the sting of their absence, the pain of their betrayal, or the confusion of their sudden silence. But remember this truth: when heaven takes something away, it is not a punishment, but a positioning. The relationships that are slipping are making space for those who will honor your soul in the way it deserves. The doors that are closing are clearing the path for those that will open effortlessly before you. The conversations from which you have been excluded are simply redirecting you toward the ones that will speak life into your purpose rather than doubt into your vision. This is not the end of your story. It is the reorganization of your cast. Those who leave are not meant to carry the weight of your destiny, and their absence, though painful now, will one day be recognized as the very thing that set you free. Do not ignore the details, for they will tell you more than words ever could. Pay attention to the way a person looks away when you speak, the way their smile feels rehearsed, the way their embrace lacks the warmth it once carried. These subtleties are not accidents. They are the whispers of truth revealing itself to you. And when the full revelation arrives, when you see with clarity what has been hidden, you will not be caught unprepared. Instead, you will recognize that heaven has been preparing you all along, showing you signs in fragments so that the final unveiling would not shatter you but strengthen you. Understand this deeply. What departs from your life in this season is not greater than what is coming. The sorrow of separation will be replaced with the joy of new alignment. The emptiness left behind will soon be filled with abundance you cannot yet imagine. The confusion of this moment will transform into clarity so undeniable that you will one day look back with gratitude, not grief. For the divine does not subtract without multiplying. It does not remove without restoring. It does not close one chapter without already having written the next. So stand firm in this truth. Do not chase after what is leaving. Do not beg for what is being removed. Do not cling to what is slipping from your grasp. Let go with trust, knowing that your destiny cannot be diminished by the absence of any person. Let go with faith, knowing that what is meant for you cannot be taken by another. Let go with courage, knowing that you are walking not into emptiness, but into fulfillment. For even now, even in the midst of what feels like unraveling, heaven has already arranged the next season of your journey. The right people have been positioned, the right opportunities prepared, the right blessings aligned. What you are losing now is nothing compared to what you are about to receive. And the proof is already stirring within your heart. The strange peace that rises when you stop fighting the inevitable. The quiet strength that surprises you when you thought you were too weak to go on. The subtle joy that flickers even in the midst of sorrow. These are not random emotions. They are evidence that you are being carried, that you are being guided, that you are being lifted into something greater than you could have constructed on your own. Yes, there will be moments when fear tries to creep in, when doubts attempt to convince you that this unfolding is a loss you cannot survive. But remember this: fear is the loudest liar. It shouts in order to drown out the steady whisper of faith. Do not listen to its voice. Instead, remind yourself that you are not walking alone. Divine hands are guiding your steps. Divine eyes are watching over your path. Divine love is surrounding you even in the emptiness. And what is meant for you will find its way, no matter who departs, no matter what shifts, no matter how the ground trembles beneath your feet. This season is not the breaking of your story. It is the rearranging of it. This is the chapter where the pieces that once seemed scattered begin to take their place, where the truths that once seemed hidden begin to come into the light, where the losses that once seemed unbearable reveal themselves to be the doorway to blessings beyond your imagination. And though you may not yet see the full picture, Trust that heaven sees it clearly, and in time, so will you. There is a mystery that unfolds when heaven begins to realign a life, and though it may not always feel gentle, though it may not always be what the human heart would have chosen, it is always precise in its timing and flawless in its purpose. What you are living through now is not chaos, though it may appear that way. It is not confusion, though your mind struggles to understand. It is not abandonment, though the absence of certain people or opportunities may tempt you to believe you have been left behind. What it truly is, my child, is the careful orchestration of a divine order that sees farther than your eyes, that knows more than your reasoning, and that loves you more deeply than you could ever imagine. You are in the midst of a transition, and transitions are never smooth because they require the breaking of old patterns, the shaking of false foundations, the unveiling of truths that have long been hidden, and the courage to let go of what has already served its purpose. But if you can allow yourself to trust the unseen, even while the visible crumbles, then you will come to understand that this moment is not the ending of your story, but the dawning of its most important chapter. Every whisper of unease you have felt recently, every subtle shift in atmosphere, every silent suspicion in your heart that something is not quite what it seems, has been a divine alert. Heaven has been stirring your intuition, heightening your awareness, giving you glimpses into what lies beneath the surface. It is not your imagination that has noticed the change in tone when certain people speak to you, the hesitancy in their words, the absence of the sincerity that once made you feel safe. It is not paranoia that has made you sense the distance growing between you and someone you trusted, the strange coldness that cannot be explained, the feeling that plans are being formed without you, decisions made in places where your voice is absent. These are not coincidences. These are revelations in their earliest form. Heaven is warning you, not to frighten you, but to prepare you, to let you know that what others thought they could conceal has already been exposed in the spiritual realm, and now it is being brought into your awareness so that you may stand ready when the full unveiling comes. The truth is that there are conversations that have taken place behind closed doors. There are schemes woven in silence. There are individuals who have smiled at you outwardly while hiding intentions that did not align with their expressions. You may not have heard their words, but heaven has. You may not have seen their gestures, but heaven has. You may not know the fullness of their motives, but heaven does. And because you are chosen, because you are loved, because you are being lifted into a season that requires protection, this knowledge is being revealed to you now. Not everyone receives such warnings. Not everyone is given the chance to see before the storm arrives. But you are being given this gift because heaven refuses to allow you to be blindsided. What others thought would remain hidden will be brought to the surface, and what they believed could harm you will be turned to your advantage. For no plan of man can override the promise of God. Do not be deceived into thinking that the shifting of these relationships or the exposure of these hidden intentions means your journey is weakening. On the contrary, it is evidence that you are being elevated, that you are being positioned for something greater, and that the forces of opposition are reacting not because you are failing, but because you are succeeding. When the divine light shines brighter within a person, it naturally unsettles those who walk in shadow. When the hand of God begins to open doors for you, those who fear being left behind will attempt to close them. When the blessing of heaven rests upon you, jealousy will rise in the hearts of some who cannot celebrate what is not theirs. This is not new. It has always been so. And yet, no matter how loud their whispers, no matter how subtle their schemes, no matter how calculated their actions, they will not succeed. For you belong not to them, not to circumstance, not to the fragile hands of those who seek to shape your future. You belong to the one who wrote your story before the first breath entered your body, and only He has the final word. So what must you do in this season? You must resist the temptation to fight battles that are not yours to fight. Do not waste your energy trying to prove your worth to those who have already decided to doubt it. Do not chase after explanations from those whose intentions have shifted in silence. Do not demand loyalty from those whose hearts have already turned away. Instead, anchor yourself in the certainty that what is meant for you will not require struggle to remain, that those who are aligned with your destiny will stand beside you without being convinced, and that the path, which has been ordained for you, will open, regardless of human effort. Release the need to control what is leaving and instead focus on preparing for what is coming, because what is ahead of you is infinitely greater than what is behind. It may hurt to watch certain connections dissolve, to realize that people you held close no longer hold the same place in your journey, to admit that what you thought was permanent was in fact temporary. Yet in the very same breath, you must recognize that this release is a form of mercy. For what if those bonds had continued only to weaken your spirit? What if those hidden intentions had gone unnoticed only to wound you deeper later? What if those silent conversations had remained concealed until it was too late to protect your destiny? Heaven is not punishing you by exposing these truths. Heaven is protecting you. You are being set free from attachments that could not carry you forward, from illusions that would have clouded your judgment, from relationships that would have weighed you down when you were meant to soar. Already the rearrangement has begun, and with it comes the assurance that new alignments are being formed. The empty space left behind will not remain empty for long. It will be filled by people who honor your soul, who celebrate your presence, who walk with you not out of convenience, but out of divine purpose. Opportunities that were hidden will now step into the light. Doors that seemed sealed will open effortlessly. Paths that were blocked will suddenly clear, and what was once uncertain will become undeniable. The heaviness you feel now is only the shadow of transition, and soon it will give way to the brilliance of clarity. Remember this always. Nothing that departs your life in this season is greater than what is arriving. Do not fix your eyes on the closing door. Lift your gaze to the one that is opening. Do not mourn what is being removed. Prepare yourself for what is being placed into your hands. Do not cling to what is gone. Embrace the unfolding of what is yet to come. For you are stepping not into loss but into gain, not into emptiness but into fulfillment, not into despair but into joy that cannot be shaken. And as you move through this transition, hold fast to the truth that you are not walking alone. Even when you feel isolated, even when others step away, even when conversations fade into silence, you remain surrounded by divine presence. The unseen world is active on your behalf. Angels moving in places you cannot see. The voice of the Most High guiding you with whispers you may only half hear. A shield of light guarding you from harm. You have not been abandoned. You have not been forgotten. You have not been cast aside. You are being carried, prepared, and strengthened for what lies ahead. So let your heart find rest in this. What is meant for you cannot be stolen. What has been promised cannot be broken. What has been written cannot be erased. Others may plot, but their schemes will collapse. Others may whisper, but their words will dissolve. Others may try to shift your place, but your position is secured by hands stronger than theirs. And when the unveiling is complete, when the truth has fully emerged, when the light has scattered every shadow, you will not be diminished. You will be elevated. Those who doubted you will watch as you rise. Those who planned against you will see their plans overturned. Those who thought they could silence your voice will hear it echo louder than ever. And you will know beyond all doubt that this was not destruction, but divine preparation for the greatness that has always been written into your destiny. There is a sacred rhythm to the movements of heaven, a pattern that rarely aligns with the hurried pace of human expectation, and it is within this rhythm that your life is now being reshaped. For years, you have carried questions in your heart, asking why doors opened only to close, why opportunities slipped from your grasp just as you reached for them, why relationships that began with promise ended in silence, and why prayers seemed to echo unanswered in the stillness. You may have believed these were signs of rejection or punishment, that somehow you had been overlooked or forgotten, but the truth is altogether different and far more beautiful. What you experienced was not abandonment, but orchestration, not neglect, but refinement, not denial, but delay for the sake of divine timing. Everything you endured, every tear shed, every disappointment carried, every silent night in which you wrestled with uncertainty, was part of a preparation so detailed that it reaches into the very fabric of who you are. You were not being ignored. You were being shaped, tested, refined like gold, until the strength within you matched the magnitude of the destiny written for you. And now, that rhythm is quickening. If you pay attention, you will notice it in the subtle acceleration of events around you, in the way circumstances that once felt immovable begin to shift, in the way clarity arrives more swiftly than before, and in the way coincidences multiply until you can no longer call them coincidence at all. These are the signs that the appointed time has arrived, that the season of waiting is yielding to the season of fulfillment, that the silence which once felt endless is breaking into a symphony of answers. Yet even as this newness rises before you, the residue of past struggles may tempt you to doubt, to fear that the cycle will repeat, to wonder if this too is temporary. But do not let those shadows deceive you. You have stepped across a threshold, and the road ahead is not the same as the one behind. What once broke you has already built you. What once delayed you has already defined you. What once emptied you has already made room for the abundance that is on its way. The most profound truth you must carry into this season is that what you now think, speak, and feel will carry a power unlike before. In the past, your prayers were seeds scattered in faith, often unseen beneath the soil of time. But now, because your spirit has been refined and your consciousness awakened, those seeds will bear fruit with far greater speed. Your words will echo into reality. Your desires will attract manifestation. Your thoughts will draw opportunities, and your faith will anchor blessings into being. This is why vigilance of the heart and mind becomes more important than ever. Negativity, once dismissed as harmless, now has the potential to delay what is forming. Doubt, once a private whisper, now risks undermining the very foundation of your blessings. Fear, once hidden quietly in the shadows of your thoughts, now threatens to ripple into the unfolding of your destiny. But the same is true in reverse. Every affirmation of hope will open new paths. Every intention of love will draw new companions. Every decision rooted in faith will hasten the arrival of miracles. You are not to take this lightly, for this is the season in which you are entrusted with spiritual authority greater than you have ever known. Think of it as standing in a field of fertile soil, where every word becomes a seed, every emotion becomes water, and every thought becomes sunlight. What you nurture will flourish, and what you neglect will wither. This is why you must choose carefully what you plant. Plant bitterness, and it will grow. Plant love, and it will multiply. Plant fear, and it will spread. Plant faith, and it will overflow. The responsibility now rests with you, not as a burden, but as a gift, for heaven would not have entrusted you with this authority had you not been ready to bear it. You've been tested, you have been refined, and now you are being crowned with the power to shape your own reality in alignment with divine will. It is possible that even as these truths reach you, you feel the tension of transition. Perhaps some relationships are still dissolving. Perhaps some paths still feel uncertain. Perhaps some emotions still linger from the wounds of the past, but do not mistake the remnants of an old season for the reality of the new. They are merely the echoes of what once was, fading gradually as the new energy takes root. Soon those echoes will dissolve entirely, and what will remain is clarity, peace, and the unmistakable assurance that you have stepped into a new era of your life. And though it may still feel fragile at first, like the first light of dawn after a long night, it will strengthen with every passing day, until you realize that what once felt impossible has become your daily reality. This is also the moment to understand that you were not chosen solely for yourself. Yes, blessings are coming to you, abundance is flowing toward you, doors are opening for you, but the purpose extends beyond your individual story. You were chosen because your life is meant to be a vessel through which others awaken, because your words, your actions, your very presence will serve as a reminder to those around you that miracles are real, that faith is rewarded, that hope is never wasted. Heaven has invested in you not only for your sake, but for the sake of every soul you will touch, every heart you will encourage, every life you will inspire, simply by living in alignment with your true purpose. This is why your role is sacred, why your path has been so rigorously tested, why your endurance has been so deeply demanded, because your journey carries weight not only for you, but for countless others. Do not underestimate the divine team that now surrounds you. You may not see them with physical eyes, but you will feel their presence in moments of quiet reassurance, in the sudden strength that rises when you thought you had none left, in the coincidences that arrive at precisely the right moment, and in the protection that shields you from harm you did not even know was near. These are not accidents. They are the evidence that heaven has assigned guardians to you, spirits who walk beside you, listening to your thoughts, guiding your steps, removing obstacles that would have hindered you, and clearing the path so that you may move forward unhindered. You are not alone, and you never were. But now, more than ever, you must remember that you are being supported in ways beyond your comprehension, surrounded by a love that is constant and upheld by a grace that is unbreakable. So what remains for you to do? Surrender. Not in weakness, but in trust. Release the illusion that you must control every detail, for the details are already arranged. Release the burden of fear, for fear has no power against what has already been decreed. Release the weight of doubt, for doubt cannot undo what heaven has already written. Your task is not to orchestrate, but to align, not to force, but to flow, not to manipulate, but to trust. Allow yourself to step fully into the rhythm of divine timing, to let your spirit be carried by the current of grace rather than resisting the flow with worry. For when you surrender, miracles multiply. When you trust, doors open. When you believe, blessings manifest. This is the truth you must hold on to with all your heart, for this is the truth that will carry you into the fullness of your destiny. And as you embrace this season, do not forget to honor yourself. Look back at the roads you have walked, the burdens you have carried, the nights you have endured, and recognize the strength that has brought you here. You are not weak. You are resilient. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. You are not ordinary. You are extraordinary. And the unfolding of your life from this point forward will prove it to you again and again, until every shadow of doubt has been erased and every fear silenced beneath the weight of undeniable blessing. This is your moment. This is your season. This is the turning of the page, the dawning of the chapter you prayed for in whispers, the unveiling of the destiny you once feared might never come. Walk into it with courage, with faith, with openness, and with gratitude. For heaven has chosen you, and nothing can stop what has already begun.